For our first story, we have wife 33 female and I 33 male having one-sided financial relationship after winning $1 million. We were engaged to get married, then she won million won through the state lottery. After taxes it ended up being roughly 600,000. We used the dollar to buy a duplex and live one side and rent out the other. Before the wedding she got fired from her work as a restaurant manager. Fast forward 2.5 years later and she still isn't working. What is bothering me the most is that she's living semi-retired, just doing part-time school for massage therapy while I work full-time in healthcare. Before we got married she worked hard to bring dollar in too. We both worked in restaurants and I studied on the side to get a degree to help move career fields. She lives comfortably and just uses the dollar from the tenant and our savings to pay her debt, but I can barely keep up with the monthly bills working full-time plus in my job and managing the expenses of the other side of the duplex. We don't have kids and she spends a majority of her day playing video games and being a dog mom. Has anyone gone through this in your first years of marriage where your partner just relies on you for all the finances and is okay with not doing anything to help provide an income? What did you guys do to help the situation? That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, winning $600K after taxes and still having credit card debt is mind-blowing. Our second commenter says, I didn't quite understand. Did she buy the duplex or is there a mortgage? If the tenant is paying rent that she's using for buying stuff, why are you struggling to pay housing expenses? Basically, I think we need more information about the expenses and what the split is. Our third commenter says, are you sure you are compatible with your wife? For our second story, we have, my 26 female BF 42 male had convinced me to try sleeping with other men after months and months of nagging and pleading. We finally did it once and there's a lot of conflicting feelings. How big of a mistake was this? And two things stood out to me and I'm afraid there's no turning back. He looked extremely pathetic there just watching and pleasuring himself, which was something I did not expect myself to feel, but I did. And I can't unsee it and I don't know how to tell him without hurting his feelings. The other thing is that I found myself enjoying the sex with a new partner much more than expected, especially compared with my BF. Which in itself opens up another can of worms. I am not sure who to talk to. It's not like I can talk to anyone IRL about this without exposing his kink. That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, did he enjoy being humiliated? Maybe that was what he was really after. Our second commenter says, so yeah, a friend of mine has a weird uncle who did this sorta shit to a younger girl. It ended pretty badly for her. Best of luck. Our third commenter says, he looked pathetic to you. It didn't turn you on. You enjoyed the sex with the new guy? Time to end the relationship maybe? Nothing wrong with kinks, but it doesn't sound like you are turned on by your BF during the experience, which is kinda the point. He convinced you into doing this and sometimes it backfires. For our last story, we have, how, when do I, 21 female, tell my boyfriend, 22 male, that I am getting surgery? For some context, we have been dating for over 3 years and have had our fair share of issues. One of my main issues recently has to do with his moral and political views, and because of them I'm not sure how to approach this or if I should at all. I told my boyfriend last summer that I would get a tubal ligation if the election turned out the way it did, so that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm not only doing it only because of that, I've wanted to for years. I'm just saying this because I did tell him then, so it wouldn't be a total surprise when I did go ahead with it. I stopped bringing it up after that because he suddenly started to get weird about it. Plus he doesn't seem to like it when I talk about anything regarding women's healthcare. However, he brought it up during an argument, saying how I wanted to get mutilated. After that I tried to see his perspective on it, so I asked why he was so against it. He only gave me non-answers, so I'm still not really sure what the reasoning is. My fear is that he expects biological children and just doesn't want to say it. I told him about my stance very early on, and that I would never have bio kids. He was okay with it then, and says he is now, but I don't see any other reason as to why he would have a problem with the surgery. He was completely fine with never having kids up until fall of last year. Now his stance is adoption, supposedly. I am scheduled to have the surgery in a little over 2 weeks. I didn't tell him as I was trying to get approved for it, because I wasn't sure if I would be rejected for being too young. However, it is definitely happening now, and I don't know if or when I should tell him. I'm afraid that if I tell him before, that he will make me feel bad or try to convince me out of it. But I also don't want to leave him in the dark and just do it. I'd really like some perspective on this, because I don't know. Didn't think I'd have to edit this so early, but anyhow. I don't need opinions on getting a tubal ligation. I know I'm young, I know it's permanent. I also know that I have chronic physical issues as well as mental issues that I am not willing to mix with pregnancy. This is not something I am choosing to do on a whim. I brought it up to my doctors for years, but they always mentioned my age and the issues it would cause, so I waited. For those who don't believe that a doctor would do a tubal on someone so young, just know I live in a blue state and had an amazingly understanding doctor and gynecologist. I'm also aware of how toxic this sounds, but I'm a stressed out college student who just needs to know what will likely be the easiest time to tell him. I love him, and for me it's really not as simple as just dumping him. Believe me, I've definitely tried. I am reaching a breaking point, but for right now I can't do it. Just thinking about telling him, or anyone other than my 2 friends who know, stresses me out to a point of a near panic attack. All of my family is conservative, so I have no one to tell me when is best, worst to tell him. That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Do not be with somebody you can't have an honest conversation with. Opposites do not attract. There are millions of other men out there, and tens of thousands that can be a better match and side with you, and actually want to talk women's health. Just gotta hold out to find them." Our second commenter says, "I'm twice your age and I'm going to be honest with you. This relationship is over. How long you take to decide to act on that fact is up to you, but it is over. You are on very different pages about a deeply fundamental issue. It will not work. Good luck, OP." Our third commenter says, "Take it from an old chook. If you don't feel safe discussing anything and everything, then that partner is not for you. So talk. Tell him. His reaction will tell you everything you need to know. I wish I'd known at your age I wouldn't have kids, as I would have discentered relationships with men big time and saved myself a stack of pain while building solid friendships with women. You have so much life to look forward to. Do not waste any time on people who drag you down, because believe me, you'll be looking back wishing you'd pleased yourself more. Go get him and enjoy your life." That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.